So you are after that beautiful background blur in your photos like all the pros have, and you've been told that the only way to get it is to shoot at a wide open aperture. But let me tell you that we have 3 other ways that you can get that beautiful background blur that have nothing to do with your aperture. So check out this super quick video, and here are 3 different ways that you can get that same effect. So I'm really excited to talk with you today about some other ways that you can get that beautiful background blur in your photos that have nothing to do with aperture. So many of us have been taught that the only way to get that beautiful look in your images is with your aperture, and that is simply not true. So today I'm going to share with you 3 other ways to get background blur that have nothing to do with your aperture. We'll walk through them one at a time, but they are, just to start off, they are your subject's distance from the background, they are the focal length of your lens, and your distance to your subject. So today I'm going to show you examples of all 3 of these so that you can achieve that beautiful look without having to do anything with your aperture. So first, let's talk about the focal length of your lens. The longer your lens is, the more compression that you will have in the background. So what do I mean when I'm saying a longer lens? When I'm referring to quote unquote a longer lens, I mean a lens like a 135 millimeter versus a 50 millimeter. So you can see the examples that I've provided on the right. The image at the top was taken with a 50 millimeter lens. The image on the bottom, the child here did not move, but you can see that that image taken with a 135 millimeter, so a longer lens, has more compression, more blur in that background. And we have some other videos about lens compression and what does that mean and why does that happen, so be sure to check those out. But for the sake of today's video, I want you to see that you can get that beautiful background blur just by changing the lens that you're using. So what else can you do? Let's talk about your subject's distance from the background. So here, the further away that your subject is from the background, whatever it is that's behind them, the more blurred out that background will be. So here you can see that the boy was at the top image, relatively close to the greenery and the foliage behind him. So I took that photo there, and then we just took several giant steps. I was stepping backwards, he was stepping forwards away from that same foliage. The light was essentially the same. All of my camera settings were the exact same. Nothing in my camera settings changed. The only thing that changed was his distance from that background. And you can see how much more blurred out that background is just by having him step away from the background. And the final one that I want to talk about is your distance to your subject. So something that you may not know is that the closer you stand to your subject, the more blurred your background will be. So all 3 of these images on the right were taken with the exact same camera settings and with the same lens. My subjects also did not move. So the image at the top, we have my subjects, and I'm pretty far away from them. I'm pulled back, getting a nice shot showing kind of a lot of the fall foliage around them. And I've got a decently nice blurred background. I love that it still kind of shows some of the texture of the leaves. But then you'll see in the next image that I stepped a little bit closer to them for that shot. And you can see that the background is getting a little bit more blurred out. And then for the final shot on the bottom, you can see that mom, at this point we just had dad step away. Mom stayed right where she was, and I just had her lean over to her daughter, but I stepped closer to mom. So again, I'm stepping closer. She's staying the same spot. And you can see how much more even still that background blur is. So I wanted to show you these examples because I wanted you to understand that even if you cannot shoot with a wide aperture, and sometimes, let's be real, sometimes it's not the best idea to have a wide open aperture. Even when you can't do that, there are other ways that you can achieve that beautiful background blur. And if you combine some of these ideas, then you're really taking it all to another level. So keep in mind that the focal distance of your lens can play a part. Keep in mind that how far away your subject is from the background can play a part. And then finally, your distance to your subject can play a part. So I would love for you to go and try these out, check out the different techniques and see what you come up with.